a war ignited by a woman, a siege that stretched over a decade, a wooden horse concealing the most brilliant military deception in history, a legendary city called Troy, and an epic Greek poem considered one of the most famous ever written. But what's the real story behind the Trojan War? Did it actually happen? And is there historical evidence proving the existence of this ancient city? Have you ever heard of a war triggered by love? A fierce conflict that raged for over 10 years. This is the story of a legendary city called Troy, immortalized in Homer's epic poem, the Iliad. The poet Homer, who is said to have been blind, wrote this monumental work, but even his existence is shrouded in mystery. Some scholars believe that Homer may not have existed at all, and that the poem could have been written by several authors over time. Nevertheless, the Iliad has become one of the greatest literary works in history. The story begins with Paris, the Prince of Troy, who falls madly in love with Helen, the stunning wife of Menelaus, the king of Sparta. Paris, captivated by her beauty, decides to take Helen for himself, either through kidnapping or, as some versions suggest, she willingly eloped with him. Paris took her back to Troy, sparking a war between the Greeks and the Trojans. When Menelaus discovered what had happened, he was furious. Determined to bring Helen back, he, alongside his brother Agamemnon, gathered a massive army of 1,000 ships, including legendary heroes like Achilles and Odysseus. But Troy wasn't just any city. It was fortified by immense, impenetrable walls. The Greeks laid siege to the city, and for 10 long years, the war dragged on. After a decade of bloody conflict, with no end in sight, the Greeks devised a cunning plan. Just as they seemed ready to retreat, they left behind a peculiar gift, a giant wooden horse. The Trojans, unaware of the hidden danger inside, dragged the horse into the heart of their city. As they celebrated what they believed to be their victory, Greek soldiers emerged from inside the horse, opened the city gates, and launched a surprise attack. Troy fell, Menelaus reclaimed Helen, and the city was utterly destroyed. This legendary tale has survived through the ages, and even today the term Trojan horse symbolizes devious tricks or gifts that conceal great danger. But while the story of the Trojan War remains a cornerstone of ancient mythology, one question still lingers. Did it actually happen? Many ancient historians, such as Herodotus, often referred to as the father of history, believed the war was real. Yet the Iliad is full of fantastical elements. Greek gods interfering in mortal affairs, mythical creatures, and larger-than-life heroes. It's hard to say that it's historically accurate. Moreover, the idea that a city could withstand a siege for 10 years seems almost impossible. Most cities crumble within months or a year at most. But something about this tale has led historians to believe that there may be more truth to it than we think. So, what made ancient scholars and historians hold on to the belief in the Trojan War's reality? One possible reason is the vivid and detailed descriptions of the war itself. The bleak and harsh portrayal of the conflict in the Iliad is difficult to dismiss as mere fantasy, suggesting that the story may have been inspired by real events. For a long time, the city of Troy was considered a myth, a product of the imagination. That is, until the late 19th century, when German archaeologist Heinrich Schliemann uncovered the ruins of what many believe to be ancient Troy in Hisarlik, Turkey. His excavations unearthed the remains of a castle, pottery and treasures, proving that this was no mythical place. Troy had indeed existed. Later excavations revealed even larger ruins beneath the original findings, suggesting that Troy was a significant city during the Bronze Age. although there's no direct evidence of a siege lasting for 10 years, charred arrows and unburied skeletons hint at a violent battle that took place within the city, possibly one that aligns with the timeline of the Trojan War. So, while the tale of the Trojan War may seem unrealistic, it seems likely that it was at least based on real events. Perhaps it wasn't exactly as Homer described it, but the core of the story, the destruction of a wealthy, fortified city, carries a ring of truth. In the end, the legend of Troy had a profound impact on ancient Greece and the rest of the world. Whether inspired by an actual war or born from dazzling imagination, its influence is undeniable. The Trojan War continues to captivate us, inspiring countless works of art and literature. Its legacy will forever remain of enormous historical importance. And with that, we conclude this incredible story of recklessness, war, and deception. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below.